Hi, my name is Dr. Allie Baumgartner, and I am the Paleontology Collections Manager here at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History.
And I'm Dr. Laura Wilson, and I am the Curator of Paleontology here at the museum. Thanks for joining us for a new way to museum.
And today we're going to be talking about why turtles are so weird.
So if you've ever seen a skeleton of a turtle, picked one up, see one that maybe got hit by a car, it looks kind of alien. And going back into the fossil record, they look pretty alien there too. So we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that turtle anatomy, so how the bones are put together, how the structures are put together of the skeleton, are very different from other types of animals, specifically vertebrate animals.
So broadly speaking, we're going to be covering three broad reasons why turtles are weird. But the number one thing, the thing that you probably think of when you think of turtles, is the fact that they have shells. Nobody else, at least no other vertebrates, are known for their shells.
And they don't just grow new bones, but they modify bones that are in our skeleton. So things like ribs and vertebrae, especially some of the processes on vertebrae, expand and make up the bulk of that shell. They then do grow these other little bones between skin layers during embryology, but that's a whole different episode, I think, of how turtles grow shells. But they use bones that are in our skeleton and then make them bigger, make them longer, grow them into each other to have this solid shell that covers both the back as well as the belly regions of a turtle.
And they've looked like this basically since as early as we've found turtles. The second weird thing about turtles is how they've modified their bones. Where did they put things?
So if you look at some of the turtles that we have out, like our beautiful protostega here, look at where the shoulders are. So those arm-like flippers coming off the front of the turtle. This is a sea turtle, so it's going to look a little bit different from your standard box turtle or tortoise. So it has flippers. But those flippers coming out the front are the forelimbs, so the arms. And if you notice, they're pretty close to the head. And so if we think about the fact that the shell of a turtle is made out of ribs, those arms, the shoulders, are inside the rib cage, which is something that other animals don't do. So if we as humans had our shoulders inside our rib cage, our arms would just be sticking over our head, coming out by our ears with very limited locomotion. So this is a adaptation of the skeleton, of the bones of the skeleton, that we don't see in any of our other vertebrate or living vertebrate animals. And this has implications for breathing.
Yes. So the third thing that makes turtles so weird is the way that they breathe. Well, one of the, I guess this would be the two and a half thing that makes turtles really weird is the way that they breathe. Because if you think about the way that you breathe, your ribs expand. So if you're able to sit against the back of a chair or lay on the floor, if you take a deep breath and don't raise your shoulders, you'll feel that your ribs are moving. But if your ribs are a shell and you're armored, you're not going to be able to expand your ribs in order to breathe. And that means that you need to get a little creative in how you do it.
Yeah, so turtles have different types of muscles that line their shell, that connect to their shoulders and their hips, that help them push air, help them expand their lungs so that air can get in due to just negative pressure and then be released as the lungs get compressed. I mean, even that which is weird for us is pretty standard for a turtle. Turtles breathe in a lot of other ways, including through seawater and even bringing in water through their cloaca, which is the universal hole for excrement and reproduction that we see in reptiles.
In other words, they breathe through their butt.
But we're moving on to 3, so this will work.
Yes. And the third and final weird thing about turtles is...
Are you sure this isn't 2 3/4?
2 3/4.
No, it's 3.
This is 3. The last thing that we're going to be talking about that's weird about turtles are the fact that we really don't know who they are. We know that turtles are a distinct group amongst themselves, but in terms of who they're related to, we have no idea.
Yeah, in the evolutionary tree of life, there are a lot of questions that top paleontologists and top biologists still are trying to figure out. One of the things, Allie mentioned this earlier, is that turtles just kind of appear in the fossil record looking like a turtle. They have their unique shell, they have their unique skull. And it's not been until really the last couple of years, maybe decade, that we've been able to make new discoveries in areas and rock types and rock ages that typically don't have a whole lot of fossils in them, to start filling in some of this gap in their evolutionary history using fossils. But one of the big debates comes from the skull. So a typical reptile skull has two main holes in it. So there's a lower hole and then there's an upper hole. And these are where muscles are going to attach. They're why reptiles have such powerful jaws. They also help lighten a skull. So when turtles appear in the fossil record, they have no holes in their skull. And so we haven't known where to put them. And so typically they've been their own little evolutionary branch of animals that lay amniotic eggs and reptiles that kind of go on their own little trajectory. And it hasn't been until we've started sequencing genes and sequencing genetic material and proteins and adding molecular data to our evolutionary interpretations that we find out that they might not be their own little evolutionary lineage after all.
Yeah, so in the last about 10 years or so is when these big molecular phylogenies started to be published, so around 2011, 2012. And this is helping us try to figure out, are they more closely related to, say, snakes and lizards and the like, or are they actually on the lineage a little bit closer to the super cool archosaurs, so the crocodiles, the birds, and dinosaurs? And there's still a little bit of debate exactly where along that they go, but this is very exciting because one of the things about paleontology is, by and large, depending on the age of the fossil, you're often limited to morphology. You are limited to the shape of the fossil. So by making friends with some friendly neighborhood biologists and being able to incorporate these molecular studies, this is how we begin to fill in this picture that we can't get with fossils alone. So we're still working on it. Literally, papers are coming out every year.
It's a very healthy debate in the field of turtleology.
Which means that even everything that we say in this video may not be 100% up to date, even by the time that it's posted. It's right now, as far as we know.
Right. But and by right now, mean that it could go either way.
Yes, exactly. This is something that people are still working on, and that's part of the reason why paleontology is such an important field. It is so exciting because things that you take for granted, turtles, we clearly know what turtles are, right? No, just kidding. We're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. So, welcome to all of the cool, interesting, and truly weird things about turtles, and hopefully maybe you have a little bit more appreciation next time you see one, either crawling through your garden, swimming in the ocean, or trying desperately to get across the street as fast as possible. So if you've liked this video, please like us on our social media and follow us on YouTube, and feel free to leave any comments, and Allie and or I will come by and try to answer any questions you have. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us in a new way to museum with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video. Support us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. You can also follow us on all our social media. Links are found in the description. Thanks for watching, and follow your curiosity to new discoveries.